And we move on now, viewers. US President Donald Trump has also announced that he will reveal his nominee for the next Federal Reserve chair on Friday. This announcement comes as speculation intensifies over who will succeed Jerome Powell when his term ends in May. Earlier in the day, during his first cabinet meeting of 2026, Trump reiterated his call for the Fed to significantly lower interest rates, calling the current rate too high. Trump has argued that reducing rates by 2 to 3 percentage points would help stimulate the economy, especially during periods of slow growth. While Powell's term as a Fed chair officially concludes in May, some suggest he may remain at the Fed until 2028 as his separate term as a Board of Governors member expires then. This possibility arises due to continued pressure from the Trump administration, including a Department of Justice investigation into cost overruns at the Fed's headquarters in Washington. Let's hear it.
Well, I think what you're going to see is you will know by the time this movie's over what's going to happen. And I'll be naming the Fed tomorrow morning. I've chosen a very good person to head the Fed. I'll be putting.
All right, joining me now in this discussion is Dr. Ajay Dua. He's a senior economist and joins us from Singapore. Dr. Dua, thank you very much for joining us. Firstly, how should we see the Fed versus Trump battle going on? Of course, Powell has gone on publicly to say that it's more to do with the Fed's objection to lowering the interest rates that Trump had wanted to than really about the headquarter overhaul project.
Well, thank you for having me in this discussion, though I'm not properly dressed, happen to be caught unawares. Nevertheless, I like to see it's absolutely right that President Trump has been after the Fed to continuously reduce interest rates. It obliged him last year by cutting the rates 3 times. He was probably expecting that in its meeting on the 26th and the 27th, he would further announce a reduction. The fact that Mr. Powell, who is a very eminent banker, central banker, justified by saying that the economic situation of the US is not so bad as is being made out. There is data to support it, that the inflation has not really ballooned, and also that unemployment is not increasing. So by a vote of 10 to 2 the governors, there are 13 of them, including the president, including Mr. Powell, 10 to 2, the committee voted that there is no need to further reduce the rates. And thereafter, I think in the customary press conference after the committee's decision, Mr. Powell also justified that he would, when asked that whether he would leave once a successor is named or when his term gets over in May, he did not give a full reply except to say that let's see, because as a former chairman, he could continue as a governor, not necessarily as a chairman, even when his term ends. That's the rule in the United States. I would say that he is standing up for independence of the central banks, and that his stand is justified is also supported by the fact that several other central bank governors or chairmen of other countries in a joint letter soon after the prosecution was launched by President Trump to intimidate Mr. Powell for an alleged offense of cost overrun in a building of the Federal Bank, that this is an attack on the independence of the federal banks of the whole world, and that such a step must not be taken by anybody in power. And the fact that President Trump has been trying to influence the decision making is when he's also made a lady called Lisa Cook, a governor of the Federal Bank of the US. He terminated her term. She went to the court, has got a stay, and in the trial taking place there. Now the war is somewhat into the open. Mr. Powell has said that he will be attending the trial, though it was not mandatory, and give his point of view if it's asked. So I would say that for the independence, Mr. Powell is working for the independence of the institution, which he has handled very well, and I would wish him that he does not take any abrupt step of resigning just because substitute is named, and the most likely substitute is one Mr. Walsh, who's likely to be announced later this month or later in the day.
Dr. Dua, what do you think? How can Trump's meddling with the Fed really affect the global economy, not just of the United States? Fed, of course, is an independent institution, like you say.
That's right. The question is, what the Fed does is affects the whole world for two reasons. One, the U.S. economy is the largest at $23 to $24 trillion. It's a very big trading community. It's capital flows take place from there around the world. That's one reason what the U.S. decides, what the rates there are, that affects the rest of the world. But more important is that the value of the dollar, which is still, though wounded, dollar still continues to be the major currency, reserve currency of the world. Every bank in the central bank holds certain amount of dollars to insulate itself from exchanges in the, various kind of changes. So for these two reasons, what happens in the US, if they keep on taking decisions, which is what President Trump is likely to do when he has his nominee, saying it is the government deciding what should be the rates, what should be the liquidity, those kind of things, then it would no longer be independent, and that will work adversely against all the other economies of the world, almost every other economy of the world.
All right, Dr. Dua, finally, who do you think is going to be the name that Trump is going to pick? There are four key candidates in the running. There's Rick Reiner, who's the chief investment officer of BlackRock. Then there's a former Fed Governor Kevin Walsh, whom Trump had almost picked up before actually having Powell take over. Then there's Fed Governor Christopher Waller and White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett. So these are the four top runners. Who do you think is going to be Trump's most likely pick?
I was just watching in Singapore certain economic channels. It looks like Mr. Walsh is likely to be the nominee, but this suspense won't remain for too long. In a few hours' time, that announcement is due. We will get to know, and I think a fully independent person is likely to be replaced by a person who may not show the kind of independence which is required of a person. And this is what Mr. Walsh is likely to be. Let the President of the United States meddle even in the affairs of the Federal Bank.
Right. Dr. Dua, thanks very much for your comments here, but I request you to stay on as we proceed. Viewers, now